My name is Assia Grazioli Venier. It's a rather long name, and as a child, it took me a long time to learn how to write it. But when I finally did, I wrote it everywhere, all over our house. Yes, I wrote it everywhere in Sharpie, all over our house. But my parents were thrilled because for me, that was my first victory over dyslexia. In fact, from that day forward, my parents have consistently encouraged me to write my name. They just ask that I find the right place where to do it. And this is what I would like to do for you today, is encourage you to write your name in the right place. I really want to encourage you to write your name on the backs of paychecks and on the front of companies and on the bottom of contracts and alongside the names of other board members. I want you to write your name and write it in the right place. But where is that right place? Answering that should be really part of your life's work. I have found a place to write my name in the worlds of technology, music, investments, and sports. Among the companies that I advise are Spotify, a music streaming service, and Northzone, a venture capital fund. I also help startups grow and reach their full potential. And I'm on the board of directors of the Juventus Football Club. It's a 120-year-old Italian soccer club known as La Vecchia Signora, the old lady, which is an especially unlikely place for a young woman to have a seat at the table. I'll be honest, some people wonder how I got all those great jobs. And I'm not really offended because I know that it's not because of how I look, but how I see. My view of the world has been shaped by regular and dramatic disruptions. My parents' divorce, moves across continents, continuing battle with dyslexia, and 1-year loss of my career after a bad accident that I'll get to later, and loves lost. Life has already taught me how to anticipate the unexpected and not resist disruption, but embrace the change. The way I read has a lot to do with that too, because for me, I see no as on, and impossible for me is I'm possible. And so today I'm a disruptor advising companies who are themselves disrupting the marketplace. Take Spotify, for example. Like me, the founders of Spotify got a lot of no's, and they never took no for an answer. They were told that there was no way that the music business could be saved by streaming, that there was no way to overcome piracy, and that streaming was no strategy for putting money back into the pockets of people who created that music. But they went on with their plan, and for the last 10 years have been writing their names on checks to artists all over the world, and have put back $3 billion back into the music industry. So I'm very proud of being part of a company culture that does not take no for an answer. And I still love helping startups that are getting a lot of no's, but turning on everything they've got to show their idea has value. Digital media in particular has given me a way to take who I am, including my penchant for disruption, and return value to the companies that value me. I'm lucky that the people I work with actually appreciate that I see things backwards. They know I can't process information about their business in a traditional way, and they value that I don't see straight lines, but that I put connections together. And they value that I don't see companies in silos, but I see them more as stories. In fact, all those inabilities have left me with an ability to see the true worth of a company and how it can and must be communicated in today's consumer era. The skills I lack actually allow me to devise my own methods of shaping cohesive strategies out of fragments of information. And if you see my doodles, you'll see how my brain works. It's one big mishmash. Like my parents, the leaders who have asked me to write my name alongside theirs, they don't try to reel me in, they let me go. And in return for their trust, I come packed with energy and passion and, yes, an uncapped Sharpie. I'm not afraid to make my mark and you shouldn't either. Sometimes it's worth taking some time to really think if you're living an authentic life or if you're forging your own signature. Because I strongly believe that none of us can make our mark and write our name in any meaningful way unless we're madly in love with the work that we're doing. Besides the propensity for disruption, what I share with the CEOs I work with is this. We are deeply in love with what the company does. In fact, I've noticed something. Every successful CEO is a lovesick puppy when it comes to her or his business. And in business, true love is highly contagious. You know, audiences and consumers, they connect with authenticity and they return true love. So why is this so important? How many of you have ever been in a relationship where you've tried to change the other person? Or worse, they've tried to change you. Has that ever happened to anybody in this room? Well, if it hasn't, it will. It's a problem. At our very core, we don't change. The real challenge is to find someone who values and loves us for the same things that we value and love about ourselves. So, what do you value about yourself? If you're like most of us, we tend to discount the things that come easily to us. But that's exactly the opposite of what we should do. Because the things that come easily to us emanate from our very core. They are our personal core business. And we have to find a work environment where those abilities and qualities are valued and valuable. And believe me, companies should hire people with very different cores, because none of the recommendations that I make can be put into practice without people who have very different cores from me. People who can put systems together and meticulous operational plans and write dense documents and read numbers. But the line that connects us all is true love for the company. Imagine what would happen if companies demanded not just brains, but heart. This is another way to really shape a diverse workforce, by choosing people who represent vastly different views and skills, but who, at their core, understand their own value and play to their strengths, and who are willing to take both responsibility and credit for a job well done. Unfortunately, especially for women, many of us don't expect, much less demand, the credit. Somehow, we've been led to believe that if the job is personally rewarding, that it's okay to settle for less reward monetarily. This is wrong. If you love the work, you do it well. If you do it well, the company does better. If the company does better, they pay you more. So, how do you put yourself in a place where your values are cherished and where you are paid well? By paying attention. Start looking less at the job and more at the work. Concentrate less on following straight lines in your career and look harder at the world unfolding around you. Be open to making connections even when there are no straight lines from point A to point B. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I was traveling the Gatwick Express to the airport, and I see something that catches my eye. It's a man carrying a hat box. Who carries a hat box? So I had to ask why. Turns out he was carrying the hat box for his wife, and they were going to one of those beautiful British weddings, you know? But that got me even more curious, so I kept asking more questions, and more questions, and more questions, and more questions, and clearly he could have seen me as a total pest. But I learned later that he was appreciating my curiosity and my unusual line of questioning. And when I got the call that he was interested in me advising his investment fund, the first thing I thought was, good thing I noticed that box. And even better, that he could think outside of it. Fast forward a couple of years, and when he's asked to take over Juventus Football Club, I'm invited to go with him and help drag the old lady into the digital age. Today, the club has not only survived its setback, but for any of you who've been following the news recently, it has broken records 5 years in a row. Forza Juve. The club's president, that man with the hat box, consistently shows unwavering leadership and love for the club. And that is returned by the fans and the managers and the coach and, of course, the players. I am proud to be able to write my name alongside his and the other board members. That's a good story, right? But let me tell you, when opportunities like this come, self-doubt is not too far behind. Maybe you've experienced what I call the imposter syndrome. The idea that, or the fear that one day you'll be found out. But I promise you that that day will never come if you are true to who you are and what you think and how you see the world. Understand your value and find a place where you are valued. Don't be afraid to bet on yourself either, even when there are people betting against you. After my leg was crushed in a car accident many years ago, I was sitting with my mother and the doctor told us that it was unlikely I was going to walk properly again because of the nerve damage and everything. Yes, I was highly medicated, but to my mother's horror, I gave the doctor the finger. I just wanted to tell him that I was not going to stay in the place that he saw for me. I was not going to believe in what others thought where I was going to go. Now, I'm not saying to go around giving the finger to people who resist you, but don't underestimate the power of grit. After all, success is not often achieved in a straight line, and it's crucial that we get through the twists and turns with purpose and determination. I proved that doctor wrong, but it was a year before I could actually get back to work. And a friend saw me struggling, and he gave me a desk at his firm to sit and start over again. And it was there that I met the person who introduced me to my career in digital media. A career advanced through a setback? Absolutely. So I would ask you this, as you picture where you want to go, don't always try to draw a straight line to success. The curves and the detours and the moves backwards, they force us to be aware and engaged. They give us empathy for people who are struggling and the confidence that there's something extraordinary just around the corner. And they leave you with a very special and marketable skill, the ability to read no as on. So today I want you to think about picking up something that I've held on to since my childhood, the belief that success comes in writing your name in the right places. But where will that be for you? Who knows? I hope this, though, that on your way you will find yourself in good company and in good companies. People who see you as you really are and want you not in spite of it, but because of it. And this I would ask of you, whether yours is a fairly straight path or a winding one, I hope that you notice and speak to the man carrying the box, that you get grit and trudge through no matter what, and that you will do right by those who put their faith in you, and that you'll work hard. You are as unique as your signature, and when you get to that right place, I hope you write your name in indelible ink. Thank you.